Alright, everyone. We're back with the next episode of The Raiders Rambles. I am Joel, your chief host of the show, and joining me is none other than my co host, Noble.
Good morning, if you can call it that.
It's been an interestingly weird morning. I mean, it said that we were supposed to get a lot of rain and gloom tomorrow, for a shocking weekend.
Well, it's raining
But
over here, so
it's funny you mention it though. But right now it's just gloomy, and and here we've always been getting a case of the overnight rains, which kind of just throws everything off.
Well, it's kind of fun, especially if you put your laundry out for the night and then you go outside and you find, nah, shit, it rained.
Hmm. Yeah, that's quite a bit too. And joining us today, we have the 2-for-1 package of Azzy and Cam.
what's going on? What's going on, everybody?
Hi.
Hope everyone's having a great rainy day. Well, depending on where you're at. But over here, it's pretty rainy.
Like I said, sun's out, but the rains always seem to happen overnight down here. Not the past couple of days though. Past couple of days happened during lunch. Anyway, well, let's start things off and say, and I do apologize for our absences, but we do wish you a happy late Easter.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Happy late
better late
Easter.
yeah, definitely better late than not. And at least I hope that you guys are able to freely celebrate Easter, and unless, of
Yeah.
course, you happen to have the misfortune of living in countries that are trying to phase away Easter, like the United Kingdom.
The Brits.
Yes. They're saying They're saying that they're canceling Easter celebrations in the UK, at
I
least.
find
And
I
Wow.
find it interesting how the country that decided to say F you to the Pope and, form their own Christian church is turning around and saying, yeah, we're not doing Easter anymore. Yay for the post-2020 era.
I mean, Britain, they're more like post-Christian era of the UK, because this is what happens when you abandon God and you abandon the church that made you great.
Well, no, they already did that in the 1700s or something, and formed their own church.
Yeah, and even then, still, they abandoned. Now, the current UK is abandoning their church for instead. So now, but at least you're at the very least, you are basically able to celebrate Easter where you were at. And I hope the two of you had a fantastic Easter.
Yes, I didn't get charged with a hate crime.
What the fuck?
No. Like
No,
here,
seriously. In England, it's probably going to get to a point where celebrating Easter will be considered a hate crime, just the same as Christmas. Unless, of course, the twats who who are fighting for this like Christmas too much, but they don't want Easter. It's like, well, ugh.
And at this point, like, you've so called for a hate crime, you basically get labeled as an Easter worshipper by the newspapers.
Yeah.
I still want to point out about Christmas to them because, yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if it was pushed by a bunch of wokies, though. Like, no surprise.
Kind of is.
It's the people who are usually doing this sort of shit.
Duh.
Yeah, but either way, though, my Easter was basically filled with celebration of the occasion that made Easter what it is on Friday and on Sunday, and a lot of feasting. How was yours?
Well, we didn't do much. Well, I mean, I didn't do much other than going to church and then have breakfast, but that's about it.
Yes, nothing like good old fashioned celebration, and paired with a lot of food on Easter.
Yeah. I mean, what'd you do, babe?
Family came over, but I unfortunately slept through it. So yeah,
I
rip.
mean, hey, on the plus side down here, it's a nationally recognized holiday down here.
Isn't it nationally recognized here too?
Yeah.
I'm assuming you're referring to the United States of America.
Yes.
Yeah, that's where we live.
Yeah, but here it's a nationally recognized holiday, and it's also a public holiday.
I have to wonder what the British people will do if they turn around and realize they're losing a public holiday.
Oh yeah, they're losing a day off of work.
Right? Dumbos.
I mean, in truth, that actually that's a bit of a yes or no case, because they might lose a public holiday on Easter, but they might gain a public holiday for the other various religious celebrations they choose to celebrate in their place, like say Ramadan or something. I don't know, but that's what happens when you try to scrap Easter. But yeah. Anyway, onto other things we've got. So on just yesterday, there is something I'd really, really do wish to share with you all, and it's something I have really, really missed out on doing for months on end. Oh, what did I do? I went
Yeah.
about and became purple again.
What do you
Not
mean you became purple again?
well. You get the point. I'm always well, semantics here and there, but you get the point. I'm always purple. What am I talking about? No. In fact, I actually went about and found a new hidey hole. And some more. So, yes.
Oh, noise. Noise,
I
noise,
know.
noise.
Like, it's so. Isn't it bad enough to the point where I had not gone out and worn my fursuit in 10 months?
Went to the mountains, I'm guessing.
In a way, yes, I did. But but in truth, what it actually was is what I actually ended up finding there was a massive, massive hill slope that was rocky downhill that was so
Wow.
steep to climb. I nearly slipped twice because we had a lot of rain in the past couple of days on a rocky downhill and a lot of landslides. And what do you expect was going to happen? Could have been slippery, but it wasn't a rainy day to start, so yeah.
I kind of want to make a flying squirrel joke.
Hit it. I mean, by all
Uh,
means.
The problem
Resting-
is I couldn't form one properly.
Resting in your new nest over here?
Yeah, pretty much. It's small. It's small enough for a squirrel, but it's quite inviting.
Well, human-sized squirrel.
Yeah. Now all it just needs is a little covering and what have you, and there you go. Have I actually mentioned the that I've also been living the
Wow.
dream. It's also been helping. I've been living the dream by playing that game Scrolled Away. You can actually be purple in that as well.
I've seen some pics of that you
Yeah.
showed.
Yeah. Anyway, like long disclosure, any game that lets you be a squirrel and paint it purple is an instant winner of Game of the Year in my books. There,
Oh yes.
I said it. But yeah. So in this case, you know what actually happened was surprisingly they didn't close down this path, even though along the way a couple of trees fell, probably because of the insane amount of rain activity we've had over the past couple of days.
Doesn't it usually require people to report that?
I mean, yeah, they probably would have told it to the park rangers. But I mean, the funny fact is, the park you know what actually happened on the day we rocked up there? The park rangers basically kind of saw it there, like they just closed the gate on it, and people would just basically slip around the gate and continue down the hike. Also, it doesn't help that there's a little shortcut around the gate that people must have carved out. That's been there for probably a very long time. So it's like, what's the gate gonna do if there's a shortcut around?
I was gonna say about that photo, a squirrel foot spotted.
Squirrel foot. No, that's a new one. I love it. I love it. I've really got to stick around with it.
Squirrel squatch, squirrel foot.
Squirrel squatch. Oh my god. It's too bad. Of all the words that are associated with such a thing, you know, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti, whatever. Yeah, only the Sasquatch, and that seems to be the one that rings out pretty well, rolls off the tongue, as it were.
Squirrel
But no.
squatch.
But no, I think it actually makes it a really fun time if you just to go around on the streets. It's lovely.
Better to enjoy nature than them being in the city. That's for sure.
Looking like a sly squirrel between those logs.
Yeah. And in fact, I mean, if you paid for the suit, you might as well use it and for all of its money's worth, because you can't put a tangible value on these experiences.
Right.
Right? I mean, shit. But at the end of this walk, what I was really, really, really treated to was a little rock pool and a weir, and only like a couple of families brave enough to go down this hill. They were just basically soaking up soaking up all nature and just hopping into the pool, and I was like, okay. But of all the thingos, I'd say it's really, really worth the walk, though. But, and you know what the strangest part is? On the day, some Who-man left their barbecue here.
Wow.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I know. Funnily enough, we didn't really care that it was flipped the wrong way around, but it was quite the conversation starter, if anything else. Like, the families that were down there said, "Nah, it's not ours." So,
Convenient.
right? Like, if you're out in the woods and you need a feed, then it's really the thing to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just don't know where you're gonna get the food from. You probably need to hunt some animal down and cook it or whatever on that.
Yeah. But it's in a bush, so there's nothing really about insects in that. Apart from, Moonbuck says, watch out for king browns. I don't think we get king browns down here, but you get the point. Besides, squirrels have been known to eat the snack.
Yeah, they're known to eat snakes.
Seriously?
Yes.
Yes. But you know what?
You think that they would be swallowed by snakes? Well, only bigger snakes, but the smaller snakes, no. They got no match against squirrels.
Squirrel tooth can basically eat through snack. Yeah. could not resist basically just seeing there, my friend just going up on the damn wall.
Oh, what if you would have fallen in the water?
Oh,
You become a wet squirrel, wet, or in other cases, depending on your suit, wet dog, wet whatever. Wouldn't be pleasant.
Or-
You'd have to before you have to unzip before you drown, but you get the point.
Like, would it ruin all the fur and everything?
Not
wow.
really, no.
In order for it to
It
not.
would, but then you'd have to basically get out there, take the suit out, and lay it flat. Otherwise, if you lay it horizontally, like the fur and all that will sag from the sheer weight of the water it takes in.
Yeah.
So like rule 101 of fursuit washing, you have to lay it flat. If it's remotely wet or anything. And yes. So yeah, so that was my fun little trip out down a big hill, and being a squirrel squatch.
Yeah.
All right. So basically about that. Now it's time we got into what we're having for this week's items. Let's start with Discord here. Discord's been going through a couple of interesting moves of late. They're beginning testing face and ID scanning, and have found a pass a CEO role to former Activision Blizzard executive in hopes of taking the company public.
Oh.
Yeah, so now that they're basically going, after all these years, now they're going to be publicly traded on the stock exchange, whatever have you, and now they're also being able to, and now they're basically testing the waters with face and ID, for for things like age verification, and whatever have you, just so you scan yourself in, bam, there you go. You can basically get the equivalent of a verified check mark.
I have to wonder when people are going to start selling like fake heads on eBay and on Facebook Marketplace.
Right, like you can just get around it by wearing like a toupee or something, or even, let alone like just wear like one of those novelty masks.
No, I'm not talking novelty. Do you know those missing person cases, or when they try to revive someone who's been dead for like hundreds of thousands of years, and they make like those clay sculptures, stuff like that, except mass produced.
Right.
Oh, you're a 12-year-old kid that wants to go and cause drama on Discord. Hey, here's a $300 head that will get you to do that.
Yeah, and you also know about the what's it called, the face. What I was really meant to say was the plastic face thinger that you just slip on, that makes you look like a person's face. Yeah, that's how you kind of get around. That's how you can somehow get around to the face scanning. And so that's what they're trying to do now, is like they're trying to go on and start the new chapter of Discord, as it were, by going, by doing that sort of facial recognition and that sort of, and being under the umbrella of Blizzard. The guys who make World of Warcraft, Call of Duty, and they're also now owned by Microsoft. Let's not forget, in that merger deal that they did last time. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not.
Now,
So,
I've got an understanding a bit of Activision's drama over the last, well, let's just say several years. I have to wonder if this guy's going to fuck up Discord in the same manner.
Pretty much.
Yeah. All right, but I mean, like I said, they're not going to be owned by Blizzard yet,
right.
but but just an ex-Blizzard employee is taking the reins, I should say. Because you know what I just realized, if Discord were to fall under Microsoft umbrella, don't you think that it would make perfect sense if they nuked Skype for this? Remember when I've kind of at some point wanted Skype to us to cover as the closure of Skype, but we seem to have never gotten around to it.
Well, didn't Microsoft get their dirty little hands in it and decide to just shove it aside?
Yeah, and then Microsoft got their hands on Skype for the longest time, and then now they've closed it down.
Ooh,
Well,
here's an
they
idea.
will be closing it down in May, as of this year.
Discord could probably start doing microtransactions.
As if they haven't already done that, because they have the Discord Nitro subscription plan and a Discord shop. So.
Oh no, I mean happening to pay to delete messages and that sort of shit.
Oh yeah, I mean the truth about that is you realize when you can't exactly run social media platforms like that, or even Twitter, Blue Sky, and all of that for free. So really, why do you think that Twitter and that have been contemplating subscription-based features? Because if you don't, you basically run the thing at a friggin' loss.
I miss the time where you could run services just through advertisement.
Right. Because otherwise, you just have to end up what's it called? You just have to end up crowdfunding or other else just in order to make a to make your platform survive financially. Because otherwise, you'll just end up digging money out of your own pocket until you can't afford to run it no more.
And then there's Facebook.
Oh yeah, Meta, all that stuff.
So, here we go. Boombox. Skype's gone by May 8th.
Yeah,
We'll have to have a party.
Yeah.
I had some good nostalgic times from Skype during the high school days.
It would have been interesting if Microsoft had kept the whole Skype thing as it was, and they just sort of ripped out the technology and threw it into their own little thing.
Yeah,
and all that.
But they're saying that it's for the word on the mill is that they're basically trying to repurpose it for AI and whatever have you. So who knows? For AI training, whatever.
Bad.
Right.
Yeah. But to get to the whole back to Discord thing, we've got they're basically doing a bit of a testing stage in some places for the new age verification. They're currently testing users strictly between UK and Australia. This in-development feature will require users to either provide a full quote-unquote video selfie or scan an approved ID document in order to access content marked as sensitive by other users or change their own personal content filter settings.
Look, I understand people like the idea of taking a photo of themselves with their driver's license and posting it to social media as a little bit of a fad thing, but I wouldn't trust a website like this. I'm sorry.
No, or even a program like that. Because there's yeah.
The hell's going on out there?
Right, because it's so weird. You take a selfie of yourself, we'll scan your ID in, all the steps, and then they'll tell you the results. Oh, we've verified it's not legitimate, whatever.
What happens if you've got a younger looking face?
Right. Because of video selfie, it's you just, and then who's gonna interpret it from the other side?
So, as an example, if you've ever been on Reddit and you looked at people's stories, there's this one. I remember this story of this one woman, and she was at a school, her kid's school. Teacher walked by, thought she was a student. She was about to go outside and smoke, so she had some smokes in her hand. The teacher took it, crushed the smokes, and started dragging it to the principal's office. She chucked a wobbly. The principal, came along. He's like, "What's going on here?" It's like, "Oh, the student, blah blah." It's like, "No, it's a parent." Now that's embarrassing, but can you imagine what would happen if you have a certain portion of the population that are considered to be under the age of, the adult, wherever it's
Right.
concerned?
Because isn't it like a sort of thing like visually, facial recognition is only goes so well because the question is who's looking on the other side of the thingo, who's looking on the other side of the camera, like the Discord trust and safety team or AI.
Is something like a photo gonna trick the system?
Right,
Is
like
the other thing?
they wanted a video selfie, so it's like you get your phone out and you all of that. Like what are you gonna do? You just basically like, and it's supposedly like you said, like you look younger than you actually are, and bam.
I always had the opposite issue. I've always looked older than I actually am, especially
I
when I was a
Funny
kid.
thing is, like I get told that I look younger than I actually am, and people have mistaken my age for something over for way below my actual age. I feel flattered.
When I was 15 years old, we went to the cinema, and I went to go get the ticket myself, and there was like no questions. It's like you're supposed to be like 18 years or older to go and watch certain movies, and it's like, well, oh, you look like you're an adult. You're not acting like a kid. I fucking love that.
I haven't been carded. I mean, for me, I haven't been carded at a casino because they thought that I was like 20 or 19, and I didn't even get carded. I didn't even get carded by because I look like I'm older than that, like my physical appearance. And then they're just like, yeah, they're just like, you know what? This guy's older. Let's give him a drink. That's literally what they were right. Like they didn't ask for my ID or anything.
Well, as far as I'm aware, it's not actually required unless you're going into certain establishments. And in that case, it's only if they believe that you are not, an adult.
I still can't imagine that one time I got that that one drink and they didn't even card me.
Yeah, because they thought that they thought that
They thought it was probably over.
I have to really wonder if they decide to implement this the entire app wide.
I mean, right now it's still in the testing phases, and they could just, it's just a one sort of thingy, a one-time sort of thing, and maybe they might implement it like app-wide. Who knows?
Well, unfortunately, that would mean that I'd have to stop using their application, and I don't use it all that much, so not a real loss,
Right.
but whatever.
After that, I
not a
just
lot.
never advocate for Discord after all the stuff that's gone down in our past, and in the past of the Furry Raiders, and all the stuff that they're doing now. Nah.
Well, I'm only on there because A, I had an account for the whole Raider shit, and B, occasionally I come across someone that's like, "Oh, I only have Discord." I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
I'll probably fire that thing up once every like 2 or 3 months. Or if I want to talk to somebody or see if someone's around, that's it.
No, I just basically had my Discord. I just noped it and let it rot. I've got nothing left to really think about any of that. So, yeah. Also, I hear you hear all sorts of stuff because apparently another reason not to trust Discord is that Discord apparently talks to banks.
Oh?
I don't know. Report. But I think the talking to bank has more to do with it to to go public rather than, because if you were talking to banks, then yeah, no, and you basically and the trust and safety team, because trust and safety teams are notorious for for being the fun police. Yeah, imagine trying to do that and then you get denied for access for like a bank loan. Not the sort of thing you'd want to happen. And your bank gets closed, whatever, because the fun police said you were a bad person.
That would be really interesting, actually.
Fun. Yeah, right. Like all of a sudden, because you said something like there are only two genders on Discord, and the fun police said no, and you get locked out of your bank because of that. Yeah, imagine that.
Kind of fun how they're moving to the war towards the whole social credit thing in China. It just needs to be made, officially governmental, and then that's it.
Yeah. But I mean, for Discord, but that's just mainly right now. We're just seeing them. They're trying to go public and be, tradable. So but if that was the case and that happened, and with that controversy, you can kind of imagine that if that happened, Discord's stock price would just crash hard. So yeah, not that I advocate for market manipulation, but you get the point. But I suppose it's nothing to do about that because like I said, I stay the heck away from Discord as much as I really can. So no. Okay, next thing we've got here on the list, we have this. Ghost in the Shell director Mamoru Oshii says political correctness has made Western games terrible.
Now, hold on a minute. Why is it that some Japanese guy's turning around and criticizing US gaming?
Yeah, US games, European-made games, like games made just outside of like the Asian sphere or Latin America and what have you.
Jesus. It's
crazy. And, he's a film director, not so much of, he makes movies, but this is basically the implications for this are actually far reach beyond games if you really think about it. So, yeah, the film director Oshii called it out, says he has a strong aversion to it in his work. And in this interview, he says he has this to say, like bits and pieces of it. Political correctness started from the idea of giving legitimacy to the socially weak. There is nothing wrong with that. In a mature society, it is a natural responsibility. However, the problem is that it has taken that as its starting point and made the socially weak into the strong. Okay, let's stop there. And all of that. Like he goes on to say, they were given priority in getting into school, priority in finding a job. What's more, the companies that advise them charge them ridiculous amounts in consulting fees. Game companies ask for hundreds of millions of yen from them.
Now we're getting into the interesting part. See, my guess is that he's a little pissy about Western sort of ideals being jammed down Japanese throats.
Yeah, and we're going to go through the last statement he says. Basically, it's based on admiration. If you deny admiration, entertainment loses its reason for existence as entertainment. In the past, even if you said beautiful, people would say it was discriminatory. Western games are really terrible. Correctness. So now it kind of all the dots have kind of fallen into place at this point, has it?
Well, if we take a step back for a moment and look at what this individual did in the past, I mean, how popular is Ghost in the Shell?
Dude.
Pretty damn popular.
Very, very popular.
And you know what?
That there was even a live action movie made for it.
Yeah, I know.
Which kind of sucks.
Unfortunately, if you make shit products, you really should know. You don't want that to be relied on for saving people's lives as a just shot out there. But creating poor content is basically going to cost you money in the long term. It's like what was that movie I was watching a review of last night? It's a mech one. Anyway, first one was good. The second one sucked ass. Kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, like, what all these games that used to be good and now they've just basically gone downhill for this sort of thing. But if you go back and read the statements that Oshi-san said, now it's really, really, it all makes sense. Like when he says it's based on admiration, because these people who want to make these slop games basically think that they would gonna be people are gonna admire all this, political ham-fistedness and ugly characters with friggin' zipper tits.
Like Dustborn.
Yeah, and Dragon Age Veilguard. And a whole lot of other things more to it.
They are out of their mind.
Mm-hmm. And you can't even admire good-looking characters in the game, and the guy says, what's the point? What's the point of using that as for a medium for entertainment?
I suppose a good analogy would be audio files.
Yeah.
You have people who want to hear music in the best possible way imaginable with the biggest, best speakers you can ever imagine. And you just have an entire group of people who sit down and they'll have the tiniest, shittiest little speaker attached to a portable radio listening to music while they're out in the park. Sounds like nails on a chalkboard. Right. In this case, we've got someone who is really damn good at writing stories, looks at what's currently going on and is like, yeah, look, do better and stop piss farting around. Which is nice. And to be honest with you, I never thought of the term admiration as towards the twats that usually shit out games and movies and TV shows that are just dog awful.
Yeah. Because I mean, it goes back to one thing that I've been kind of saying is that games and all of that, and even movies, like you want the cast of it to be aspirational, to be written and designed in such a way that it's just that they just stick and resonate with the reader or the person who's playing the game. And there is a point to doing this sort of thing.
Yes, it comes down to believing woke is the answer to everything.
Right.
And then wondering why their profits go through the floor.
Which is far from yes, it definitely, because it's a definite no. Because it's going to ruin. Because it's going to ruin the game and all that.
Yeah. And
well, no, they're not ruining games. They're ruining the idea of storytelling, whether it's a game, whether it's anything else.
Yeah, it's not just storytelling that they're ruining as well. Like this, they're ruining how characters pretty much just in ways express themselves. They're ruining that sort of thing. Like they're just ruining like beauties, like what is admirable and beautiful. Why do you think? Look, I'm sure you've already seen the character creation in Veilguard and all that. Yeah.
The major issue I find is that people will use this to try to shape themselves moving forward. And I've unfortunately seen people that look completely dead inside while trying to smile.
Yeah.
Basically just means
Yeah.
like the root of the problem goes well beyond just that. It's just they either can't, they're either just a husk that's, either a zombie or possessed, and don't know true happiness.
It's just that when they find true happiness, they won't realize it. Or they'll go
Exactly.
aggressive towards it.
Right, because true happiness isn't like, isn't being an ugly, overweight thingo with scars. There's more, natural, holistic, and spiritual ways to be truly happy.
Now, I'm curious, what else was at the bottom of that news article? Pretty sure there's a paragraph.
It's a little sort of general statement. In recent years, fans have increasingly been skeptical of politically motivated censorship and corporate meddling, considering them at the very least to be insincere, if not outright detrimental to the creative process.
See, this is where I believe people should be allowed to tell a good story. There's an anime where the voice actors were basically given permission to do whatever the hell they wanted, and it makes absolutely no sense, but it is funny as hell. Whee! Yeah, no, possessed woman basically just floats up some stairs, and the voice actor's response is "Wee!"
I'm flying!
I'm flying! Splat.
Yeah, that's one other thing too. But you gotta realize as well, the other part of it, corporate meddling. Yeah, gee, that seems to be another commonality in not just games, but more because they're basically trying to force a certain message across.
It does nothing but just look. When you try and force a story down someone's throat, Doctor Who sort of experienced this. The early reboot or at least the restart of Doctor Who was at least good. And then it got to the point where Jodie Whittaker came along, and whoever was behind pushing all the buttons for everyone, the writing just basically went off a cliff. So you had an actual actress who probably could have actually done good, except, yeah. The amount of movies and TV shows that, even games that have basically just gone off a cliff because people at the top said, "Oh, we have to do this."
Right.
You just have to wonder how much people die inside that are working those projects, realizing what's going on. Realizing this will probably be the last time they actually do their thing. I mean, look at the current Doctor Who. There's even more talk now going around how the show's basically going to get shit canned by Disney and the BBC.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like you basically ham-fisted into popular existing properties, and then what happens? Like it just takes away everything from the creative process and rips away at the soul of what it was. Like to use a recent example that we covered, Narnia.
Oh yeah. Oh god. Oh, you get started on that. That was still bullshit.
Yeah, no, it's called The Lion, not The Lioness. The Witch in the Wardrobe. So, yeah, no. Not how we envision that to go. And we've got another item to go through this week with the most popular new release out on the gaming sphere. I'm sure you've already, at some point, you probably know about the Elder Scrolls. Or you've at least played the Elder Scrolls.
I haven't played, but I've heard of the game.
Yeah.
I've seen videos of the game, but I never played it.
Right. And I think the one here that we're talking about is a beloved Elder Scrolls game. Well, it had its moments. It's people love it, some people dislike it for some of the questionable design choices. It's the Elder Scrolls Oblivion, and they've given it a shiny new coat of paint, and and a shiny new graphics, and remade it.
Ooh, RTS, 4K.
RTX. Yeah, yeah, you would think so, right? It's RTX 4K and all that, and all those memes. But
Mhm.
actually, not. Like they've really made some interesting aesthetical design choices and what have you.
Covered up the boobs, I'm guessing.
To some degree, but but there's more to it than that than the controversy that's there. So we're just gonna cover some of it as well. Yes, and I think what people really love is that also, like, if you were in the early days, people also love that you get to either be a cat or a lizard. But
So
yes.
cold-blooded or stuck-up asshole.
In
Right.
that ways, yes. But also, yes, you're right. In the covered up boobs to some degree, yes. Let me just show you. Okay, this one here. Okay, old Oblivion, new Oblivion. Note
Why
the
didn't they just make it more furry?
right, because like it is a fur, a fur coated fat, but
Yeah. But I could still see I could still see the cleavage a little bit.
some yes, but at least it's a different sort of aesthetic compared to to the traditional, what's it called, like, finger, like padded, padded bikini and all that. But that's not the worst offender out there. If I'm being really, really honest with you, that's not the worst offender in that case. Another one here, another comparison to Old Oblivion, New Oblivion. Statue of Empress Celestia. All right, compare and contrast.
So she's supposed to look domineering and
I
less like a
mean,
princess.
right, that's what they've changed in this one here. But you gotta remember, in the old one here, this was just a statue of. This was a game that was designed in 2000 and released in what, 2005, 2006.
Okay, so when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking someone I would follow orders from into battle, and another one I'm thinking I'm afraid she's going to turn around and belt me 3 ways from Sunday and get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. The other one, the first one, I'm thinking that she's a regular. She's a
Yeah, she's
regular.
she's a humble, you could say a noble woman, perhaps.
And the
And I
one on
was
the
trying to
right
think of
would most likely just want to. What was it the Queen used to say? Off with his head.
Yeah.
or the second one, the second statue. I would be like, oh, just a typical man hating feminist. Just a typical
Right.
man hating
And
feminist.
it's not just that,
Why is it that the dominant alpha sort of thing is seen as toxic in men, but in women it's considered a positive?
like quote unquote empowering and all of that, whatever. Because they just seem to think that they dislike femininity and that sort of thing in women. And they just,
Please, what else is there? What else is there?
All right. Now, what else is there is a bit of the main controversy that everybody seems to have really, really dislike right now is the thing of our modern era. Is it, are we going to refer to people by their genders, or are we going to refer to them as body type 1 and body type 2?
Oh,
Right, because in the character creation thingo, like, the thing that you choose is either, body type 1, body type 2. There's no male and female thingo, box, tick, and race and all that was changed to identity. So it's like
What?
like you said,
I swear to
right?
God, this
Oh,
shit
no.
is destroying
Because it's
destroying
like,
everything.
and then it's like,
Yeah.
what's the person going to look at this and say like, oh, I identify as the lizard species in the Elder Scrolls, and it's like,
No,
what?
Jesus.
Oh my God.
No.
If that's the case, I'm not gonna play that game.
No,
I
but
might just for the
I will say this
nostalgia.
though, because I will say this: there is a ray of hope in this, because if you are playing this on PC, do you know what the Elder Scrolls community loves? Nothing more than just playing the game.
Modding the fuck out of it.
Yes.
Oh
Modding
yeah,
the-
they'll bring back.
Well, let me guess. They're going to put out mods for like Nick Wilde or some other Disney characters that
Oh,
that
they
people can
could.
run around as
I mean,
nude.
let
Oh,
your.
that would.
I mean, it's friggin' the Elder Scrolls. People have made a gazillion mods for anything they want in any Elder Scrolls game. And of course, one of the first things they did was rectify the body type problem, and that caused a stink with the gatekeepers of the mods. So, as you see here, the female male thing is not in the game. It was actually modded into the game.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, and so all the base and so all the core things were just were just swapped out. So it would say male, female, race, identity, and all that. And the gatekeepers of the biggest mods, Nexus mods, basically saw this as a big stink, and after 2 hours, they banned the mod.
Hmm.
And so, and yet because of that, though, because people made it basically snowballed out, and people said, they banned the mod because of Nexus heavy-handed, whatever you want to call it, censorship or whatever have you, which again,
This kind of reminds me of the Spider-Man debacle a couple of years ago, where a modding community decided to say, "We will not suffer this injustice," because someone made a mod that switched out all the Alphabet Mafia flags for the US flag because it was a
that's
US city.
correct. And then Nexus mods, this was the very same place, basically got the stink and removed and made the mod
Wait, what
unavailable for
game was
download.
that they had all that? What the fuck?
Well, I'm finding it a little weird because growing up playing Pokemon, I didn't play Red and Blue and Yellow. I played Gold and Silver, and that was one of the big changes from the first generation to the second generation was the fact you got to pick your gender. And we've hit the point now where the idea of gender is considered problematic. Oh, tell me what's next, please.
All right, yeah, exactly, because this is just the big hot button issue of facing the current era. There are only two genders. Now, after that, though, what actually really happened was that the silver lining is this: that the gender fix mod in Oblivion Remastered gets reinstated, and the truth was, it got reinstated not for whatever reason, but those bastards at Nexus mods basically lied, got caught for it, and now, no.
I'm like, oh, we can also play that.
So, and then, you know what, though? And in this sort of thing, they put the mod back up, locked all the comments, and then put a community notice that you're going to read regarding this mod. They said, this mod has been, and likely will continue to be, a source of controversy within the community. After a thorough review, we've determined that the content of the mod itself does not violate our community guidelines. However, due to the nature of the topic, which often attracts intense and sometimes hostile discussion, the comment section will remain locked to prevent further escalation.
So hold on a minute. It's controversial that a person with breasts wants to play as a character with breasts, labeled as a woman, and that's a problem. Please, no, wait, no, that's the trans community. I just want to turn around and throw them a stone just to watch them completely blow up. Or at least the unhinged lunatics on fucking line half the time. I mean, shit.
Well, yeah, or just, or you just feel like giving them a smack of the back of the head. You know, it's like
you don't have to. You literally just say one thing. You can just watch them go off their rocker until they have a seizure and drop dead. Just from mentioning this shit.
right.
Look,
I mean, yeah, exactly. Like there were mods as well, like in the other Bethesda game, Starfield, where you had to put pronouns in, and somebody decided to mod them out, and bam, remember that one that got banned from Nexus mods?
no, I don't, because I don't usually pay attention to this community.
But yeah,
Well,
you get the point.
Please tell me that they've got a diversity and inclusion
Yes, policy team,
DEI
data,
policy.
DEI, yeah. Probably
Okay.
Nexus mods.
What
But-
what Nexus mods have been showing forever, at least with this bullshit, is that no, you're not inclusion. You're turning around and saying no to what should be considered mild things or at least allowable options. I could understand them turning around and saying, look, we don't want to have mods that allow you to wear Nazi armbands, that allow you to dress like Nazis, that give you the Nazi hat, that allow you to pull the Nazi salute, that put the Nazi flag in games. I could understand that. It would show that you at least have a mild sense to, limiting your content. This is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right.
And to get this, read this paragraph here. We recognize that mods like this can bring sensitive discussions around gender and identity to the forefront. While these are important conversations, our platform exists to support creative expression in modding, not to serve as a battleground for broader cultural or political debates. ... And then the final statement. Our commitment remains the same, to keep modding accessible and welcoming for everyone. Stop there.
Yeah, right.
Stop.
See, a comment like that would mean that they would have to allow full-on nudity, the Nazi shit that I was talking about, and things that would generally be upsetting to people. And the way you get around this, or at least try to make it easier for the, let's just go with the insane people who go off their fucking rockers with this shit, put up a tag that will actually block this from being viewed. It's like with furry websites, at least the decent ones, where you can say, look, I don't want to see not safe for work, so I'm going to toggle the not safe for work off. That way, only safe for work material that's shown if people actually submit it properly.
Right.
Now, submitters are probably going to get pissed off because they have to put it in a sensitive type thing for the Alphabet Mafia people. But, yeah, that way you allow people who don't want to see that shit not see it, and the people who do, there it is, so they can download it if they want to.
Yeah.
Whereas if you kick it off and say, fuck off, we don't want you, well, then you're being, what's a good term to throw at them that would upset them? Oh, that's right. You're being like a Nazi.
Right.
Yeah.
Or-
I get this.
Or better yet, if they do this just because of their feelings, just say, we don't give a fuck about your feelings. Fuck your feelings. Fact.
Oh, you would not believe this, but the headlines that already got come out of this whole thing, a friggin' one in a friggin' trash journalist rag, Code Vice basically had this to say: "Is Oblivion Remastered too woke? Right-wing gamers are trying to mod out this feature." Seriously.
See, the thing I'd be concerned about if I was the company would be A, how many people are downloading the mod, and B, how many people are, using the mod. That's what my concern would be. Because if if you've got something like 80% of your player base using a mod, you probably want to figure out why, and then whether or not you should pivot towards more, supporting the wider audience than, a marginal community.
Right, and you know what's so implied here is that if you try to mod out this feature in the game, you're automatically a right-wing gamer.
Yeah. Just because we want to edit something mod something out of the game, and then
Then you're a piece of shit for doing that.
yeah,
I-
because we don't like sorry for interruption, but so we don't like so we don't contribute to their shitty ass feelings.
Yeah, it's crazy though. But I will conclude with this though. I think the gaming community is overdue for a new modding hub that is not Nexus mods.
I forget what exactly is it that they're trying to mod out.
Gender.
Well, they're modding out body type 1 and 2
Ah.
for the immutable in nature genders, male and female.
Male and female, man and woman.
For body type 1 and 2, so they're modding body type 1 and 2 out and putting the actual.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And
Sorry, I'm high right now, so most of this is not registering in my brain.
Well, stop. Well, get yourself on high. And listen.
Good gads. I swear. Anyway, so that's all we've got for the week. And we'd just like to close this out. We'd like to start closing this out for the week.
Do you? Do you, baby?
No.
It's probably
Oh.
too high to he needs to be unhide.
Yeah. On high yourself. Anyways, I'll go first. Now, no, you had a very nice trip, Joel. I do like those pictures, by the way. Those are pretty cool. Of the squirrel squatch.
It's my side gig. Being that's exactly what I'm known for when I suit in the wilderness.
Now for Discord, it's like now with the age verification stuff, like them seeing, you gotta post a picture of your ID to Discord mods. Now that's something I don't really trust, because it's like what if they're gonna use that to steal identity or something like that? Then fuck that. Now with the whole what's it called? Oblivion remaster thing, with them saying body type 1 and body type 2. It's like
male and female, and it's been known since that for like ever.
duh.
Like, what the fuck is wrong with you people?
Well, duh. I mean, it's like it's always been male and female since like the beginning of time. So it's like just because you want it changed because you feel, because I feel like it should be more than that. And it's like I hate, now this is brutal honesty, but fuck your feelings. I don't, because it's either male or female. That's it. This is me being brutally honest. And now for the mod, so now for those who modded that out, that changed the body type 1 and body type 2 to male and female. I applaud you. Because that's the way it should have been in the game.
Right, and that's the way it actually was back when Oblivion was released in 2006, male and female.
Duh. Well, duh. I mean, that's like, it's like, yeah, it's just this Alphabet Mafia thing is getting more cringe by the second.
All right, Noble.
Okay, time for my hot take. The Ghost in the Shell director, I can't pronounce your name even though I want to try and it'll embarrass myself shockingly. I hope his words are going to be picked up by people who want to start their own franchise, or at least, put out a story and realize that, yeah, get feedback from your customer base. Try not to, pull the same stunts as that's been going off head here. Try to do things properly. Don't fuck around like people are doing in today's world when it comes to media. Discord hiring Activision. I just want to turn around and put some fuel on the fire with that. I don't know, get some coal or something else that's highly flammable. Because Discord's going to... I seriously wonder if Discord's going to completely crash out and they end up just shutting down their servers, or
Yeah,
they end up having to pivot again and sort of try to get back on the train for what they're better at doing, which is communication and not...
Right, and I just want to see the stock price crash.
Yeah. Nexus mods. I'm kind of curious why they didn't just put in like a kept the original male and female, not throw in like a third or fourth type body type.
Right.
Because you've got Link, for instance, which we've covered before, and I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be a genderless body type. Why not just put that in as well?
Like a hermaphrodite body type, which is super rare.
No, that would be more like a fourth one. I'm talking about no boobs, no dick, no anything like that.
And
that's you probably have to have it something in between the bulkiness of a male and the slenderness of a female.
Yeah, and and at that point you're just better off using the sliders instead of
Actually, that's the other thing. Have sliders instead, so you can mix it up instead of turning around and being like, "Yeah, men and women don't exist." That's it for me.
At least you're not dangerously in a way of becoming a weeb. But anyway, that's. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed that as much as I did making the show and heading out. And actually suffering the long walk and almost slipping twice on the woods. Yeah, that was fun. But anyway, as always, you can find our episodes on Podbean, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, Play.fm, iHeartRadio, BitChute, and more further down the line. That's all we got. Farewell until next time.
Bye.
Peace out.
Ceiling Griffin.